So, earlier this year, the movie Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was released, and it was terrible. Just awful. Well, I can understand people deriving some entertainment value from the film. I personally hated it. I hated its wooden acting, I hated its obnoxiously bad writing, and I hated its relentlessly dull tone. If you were entertained by this film, then fair enough, I can't argue with whether or not you enjoyed it. But if you disagree with me when I say that this movie is dumb, then I really am sorry that we disagree, but this video is not for you, and I understand if you're just not interested in watching it.
Just the goddamn Gotham Bat thing I told you not to pursue.
It took me a while to really figure out what exactly it was that specifically annoyed me about this film, and I finally realized what was the worst thing about it. And it may not be what you think. Never mind that Lex Luthor seemingly had no actual straightforward plan. Never mind how Batman's battle strategy didn't make sense. Never mind the jar of piss. Never mind how little sense this statement made.
Superman was never real. Just the dream of a farmer from Kansas.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe. Just the dream of a farmer from Kansas.
Never mind this stupid line.
You're not brave. Men are brave.
Never mind that flash forward that was a dream within a dream that was also a time travel visit or whatever. Never mind just how bad this version of the Batman suit looked in live action. And never mind this fucking bullshit.
Save Martha! Why did you say that name?
Never mind all of that. I'm here to talk about the worst scene, and why it's the worst thing about Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. So, there's a scene in the first half of the movie, at a gala run by Lex Luthor, where Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne first meet. The two talk, seemingly unaware of each other's secret personas, although that whole thing is never really made clear. Before the two meet, Bruce Wayne goes downstairs and attaches a device to one of Lex Luthor's computers. While speaking to Alfred via radio, Kent overhears Wayne's radio transmission. When Wayne returns, the two have an uncomfortable conversation, interrupted by Luthor. Once Wayne's device is finished retrieving data from the computer, he goes back downstairs. During this time, Clark Kent follows him, further suspicious, having overheard his radio some more. Wayne returns to the computer, only to find his device to be stolen by Wonder Woman. Meanwhile, Kent sees a news report and realizes he's got work to do, which leads him to go through a weird montage of him saving people, and the movie just goes on like that. Now, it may not seem like it, but there's a lot wrong with this scene. But first, let's look at the positives. While the subtext between Wayne and Kent is awkward, there is something kind of cool about the conversation they have. I actually have no major problem with this, and in a better film it could have been a really cool moment, as Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill were well suited to their roles. I didn't even have a problem with Jesse Eisenberg's performance as Lex Luthor, even though a lot of critics were really hard on him. I thought he was genuinely intimidating in some scenes, and felt unhinged in an interesting way. So, never mind this part of the scene. Another positive is the moments when Clark Kent overhears Bruce Wayne's radio. This is clever because it's exactly the kind of thing that would naturally occur between the characters. It's interesting to think that despite a lot of Bruce Wayne's security measures in keeping his identity a secret, he didn't factor in that Superman was someone who lived secretly as a civilian, and that he might be there at the party, and therefore would be able to hear his conversation with Alfred. Like I said, it's clever, and it's a good start to the kind of subtle back and forth between the characters that this movie does not provide. Now, it would be easy for me to talk about how Clark Kent is clearly just Superman wearing a pair of glasses, but honestly, I don't mind that. I never have. I always thought that was fun. I mean, these are movies about a guy who can fly and shoot lasers from his eyes, so why not? I don't mind. I really don't mind. Okay, so let's look at the negatives. The overarching problem with this scene is that, like a lot of this movie, it is boring. But why is it boring? Well, let's start with what Bruce Wayne does. He goes downstairs, plugs in what is practically a USB key, goes upstairs, waits, and then goes back downstairs only to find his master plan has been thwarted. His master plan being to go up and down some stairs and plug a USB device into a computer. Think about it. This is a computer that is holding supposedly valuable information for LexCorp. What's it doing next to a kitchen at a gala? Wouldn't it be guarded? I mean, that one woman is all like, "What are you doing here?" but she doesn't really stop him. This is exactly the kind of problem that we like to see Batman solve. You know, because he's the world's greatest detective. Even when it's kind of crazy or involves a gadget that couldn't possibly exist in real life, it's always fun to see why he's able to access things that some average guy couldn't.
You're gonna have to borrow this.
Hey! Hey! That's my hearing aid!
Thanks.
There's a door to the computer, but it's not even locked. We could have at least seen Batman whip out a doohickey of some kind that could overwrite a locked door. Or what if he stole a keycard? I mean, he could easily do that. He is Batman, and it would have been a clever and practical way of him hacking into LexCorp. Imagine a scene where he pickpockets an employee, uses his keycard to get in, and then returned it without the employee even knowing. It's not much, but it would have been something. That's one of the things that makes Batman Batman. When we see him use his gadgetry and cunning to secretly solve a problem, or cleverly break in or out of dangerous areas.
But that's Bruce Wayne! Mr. Wayne! Mr. Wayne!
But no, instead he just walks down some stairs, through a door, and plugs in a USB key. And the worst thing is, he needs a map to know how to go down the stairs. What is he, a fucking moron? Did he not look at a map before going there? It just seems so much like he's going into this half-cocked. Moving on, Wayne has a conversation with Kent, and once his little toy is ready, he goes back downstairs to pick it up. And it's gone because he has no security measure in case someone steals it, all of which is just boring. But I've already said enough about that. What's important is what Clark Kent does. Or rather, what he doesn't do. Kent follows Wayne and watches him until seeing the disaster on the news. What's the problem with this? Clark Kent has X-ray vision. Why the hell is he following him? He could just look at him through the floor and not arouse any suspicion. And on that note, how the hell does Bruce Wayne not notice him? He's right behind him. And isn't Bruce Wayne meant to be like a very spatially aware person? Isn't he known for being like a tactical genius and a master of stealth? He would notice if someone was following him, especially if they were right behind him. I know the scene leads to Clark Kent noticing the TV, but there are so many other ways he could have become aware of the disaster. He has super sight and supervision. He's Superman. It's fun to see him find out on a television, but a TV could be anywhere. He did not need to go downstairs to find this out. So, let me explain why this is the worst scene in the movie. And I know it might seem like I'm just nitpicking here, but there really is a reason why this is a major problem with the film. A reason we love characters like Batman and Superman is not just because of the big stuff, but the little stuff. We love to see them solve little problems, as well as big ones. This works especially well in their movies. But this scene shows that this movie didn't have the imagination to even come up with the most basic elements for its characters. This scene made me realize that the characters in this movie are not Batman or Superman, because despite good casting and whatever the title may tell you, the movie couldn't even fulfill the most basic requirements of its lead characters, and that's why it's the worst scene in the movie, because it offers us nothing. But let me know what you think in the comments.
A little hypocritical, wouldn't you say?
I realize this is one of my harsher videos, and I'm genuinely interested in any intelligent arguments you have in response to how I feel. Thanks for watching.